Hello everyone, it's Spurs Radio 96 here, and welcome to the 10th episode of the FIFA 20 Borussia Mönchengladbach career mode. We begin today's episode with a massive game in the Bundesliga away at the Red Bull Arena, as Mönchengladbach will be taking on Red Bull Leipzig. If you haven't checked out the last episode, I advise you to do so, but we had a bit of a disaster really, losing to Hertha Berlin and FSV Mainz, as well as a disappointing draw away at Schalke. But this is a humongous match, as Mönchengladbach and Red Bull Leipzig are in the thick of this massive titanic scrap for 4th place, and which means also a Champions League spot. But TSG Hoffenheim and VfL Wolfsburg are getting into the fight as well. Mönchengladbach fell from 4th all the way to 6th with 37 points. Red Bull Leipzig hold onto that key 4th place. They have 42 points. Hoffenheim have on a good run. They're up to 5th now with 38 points. And Wolfsburg, they're only 2 points behind Mönchengladbach in 7th place. So it is imperative we get some sort of a result, be it a win or a draw, anything. We need to take some points off Red Bull Leipzig, because in the previous fixture between these two clubs, Red Bull Leipzig beat us, beat Mönchengladbach at Borussia Park. The scoreline was 2-1. And let's take a look at the lineups for Red Bull Leipzig. A familiar and very strong lineup there. There's Naby Keita there in the midfield, Forsberg, Hulk, and there's Timo Werner leading the attack, which will be in the same formation as Borussia Mönchengladbach, in front of a fantastic atmosphere at the Red Bull Arena, with the rain starting to come down. There's Mönchengladbach's lineup. They need to respond immediately, especially for the first team. They had a very disappointing game at Hertha Berlin, which dropped us out of the top 4. We've been on a bit of a bad run since then. Just 1 point in 3 games. We cannot have that this very bad run of form continuing. This has gone to the first half ice, the 27th minute, and Red Bull Leipzig have a goal kick, and immediately given away. And Mönchengladbach have the ball, starting play. Here's Thorgan Hazard, and he's got a lovely ball towards Silva. Andre Silva scores. Mönchengladbach take a massive lead at the Red Bull Arena. Leipzig are silenced, and Andre Silva, who scored in the previous meeting between these two teams, strikes again, and his mini-goal drought is over. He hadn't scored a goal since the 7-1 destruction of Eintracht Frankfurt. And finally, he has had an opportunity, and he has taken it. Andre Silva finally scores his 7th goal of the Bundesliga season, and that will surely improve his confidence as Borussia Mönchengladbach take a critical lead here. It's 1-0 in 30 minutes. On to the 33rd minute, just a few minutes after the restart. Red Bull Leipzig are all over the place. They've given the ball away. Here's Asani play. He's passed it into Silva. Oh, what a strike! And what a finish from Andre Silva. He is destroying the Red Bulls. The Bulls are being destroyed in their own backyard. It's 2-0 to Mönchengladbach. 2 goals in 5 minutes. And Borussia Mönchengladbach, their hopes of getting into the top 4 are increasing by the second here at the Red Bull Arena. What a thunderbolt from Andre Silva. Unstoppable strike on his right foot. And Andre Silva, who couldn't score in the 6 previous Bundesliga matches he's played in, he's now scored 2 goals in this match alone. It's 2-0 to Mönchengladbach. And there goes the half-time whistle. A very surprising lead, and the fans, I'm sure, are very surprised by Red Bull Leipzig's disastrous performance on the offensive point of view. Borussia Mönchengladbach have fired out of the traps with 2 goals in a 5-minute spell from Andre Silva. And at this stage, Borussia Mönchengladbach will be getting very, very close to Red Bull Leipzig. 2 points closer, in fact. Half-time, it's 2-0. On to the second half highlights from the start of the second half here. On to the 49th minute, and Thorgan Hazard's crossed it in. Oh, and Marcus Thuram took the most peculiar of strikes, but it doesn't matter, it's into the back of the net, and it's 3-0 to Mönchengladbach. Red Bull Leipzig are getting torn apart. Fans boo in the Red Bull Arena, but joy for the away support of Mönchengladbach. The 2 wingers are tearing Red Bull Leipzig apart. Look at that strike from Marcus Thuram. Not the best, cleanest of strikes. Hits the ball down into the ground. But the ball bouncing up into the air. The keeper had no chance with that. And Borussia Mönchengladbach are now 3-0 up in the Red Bull Arena. I was not expecting this. I was expecting a much tougher contest from Red Bull Leipzig. That is Marcus Thuram's 4th goal of the season, and Mönchengladbach are starting to run away with this. It is Red Bull Leipzig 0, Borussia Mönchengladbach 3. Onto the 58th minute, and Red Bull Leipzig all over the place defensively. Lots of opportunities here, and Liner's got a chance, and he's put it in. It's 4 for Mönchengladbach. Well, if you wasn't sure if the points were heading back to Mönchengladbach, they are now. They're 4-0 up, coming up to 60 minutes. It's now game, set, and over. Game, set, and done for Red Bull Leipzig. They're having a horrible day at the back. So much time and space for my players to get the ball and think about creating a chance with a cross or pass to another player, or taking on a shot themselves. And that is Liner's, I think, first goal of the entire season, the right back. For players, Stefan Liner scores his first goal of the season, and that is another one to add to Mönchengladbach's collection. It's 4-0 at the Red Bull Arena, and the full-time whistle goes. One of the best away performances in the Bundesliga season for Borussia Mönchengladbach. They tore Red Bull Leipzig to pieces. 2 goals in each half, 2 from Andre Silva, 1 from Marcus Thuram, and 1 from Stefan Liner, the right back. Means Borussia Mönchengladbach are right back in the race for the Champions League places. Red Bull Leipzig will still be 4th with 42 points. Mönchengladbach, depending on Hoffenheim's result, they could be up to 5th place, just 2 points behind Red Bull Leipzig. Full time at the Red Bull Arena, it's Red Bull Leipzig 0, Borussia Mönchengladbach 4. That is an emphatic display, my goodness. But let's turn to our attentions now to the big game, really, that most fans cherish when they win and hate when they lose. It is the Rhineland Derby, the second part of the Rhineland Derby fixture list, if you like. As for the first time since 2018, these two clubs will go head-to-head at Borussia Park in a Bundesliga match. Mönchengladbach beat FC Köln of the Rhein Energy Stadion earlier on in the season with 2 goals from Asani, with a goal from Asani play and 1 from Thorgan Hazard. Speaking of Breel Embolo, he scored 3 goals in his previous 3 matches. He did score against FSV Mainz and at Schalke, but other than that, not very positive on the results front for the reserve team. Drew Schalke and then lost to FSV Mainz. So it's a key opportunity for them to express their frustrations of recent results and tear Köln apart, hopefully. And hopefully we can have a derby double over our fierce rivals FC Köln here in the Rhineland Derby. FC Köln themselves, they're not having the best of... They're having a pretty steady start, as of course they are a newly promoted team. They're currently in the mid-table positions, not really troubling the top teams much, and they're not really troubling the relegation places either. So it's pretty steady for FC Köln. As you can see, there is the reserve team. They'll be in action for today's big match. I thought it's time to give them an opportunity to hopefully perform to much better heights. Of course, for new signings like Marcus Terrier and the left wing positions, of course, we've got 2 new defensive players as well. So this will be their chance to improve on their lacklustre debuts, really. I expect much better from them. So, let's commence the first half highlights. Well, quite literally from the start of the game here. Here's Embolo. Great little pass there to find Lars Stindl on the attack in the snowy conditions. Twist and turns. Brilliant back here from Stindl. And a brilliant finish from from Embolo. And Mönchengladbach take the lead against their fierce rivals in less than 4 minutes. What a start to the Rhineland Derby at Borussia Park. The Foles lead. Look at that, brilliant bit of play from Stindl. Got the ball from Embolo. Twist and turns, brilliant back heel from Embolo. And he went through the defence like a ghost did, Embolo. Look at that. And what a strike too from Embolo. And the fans are into overdrive. Mönchengladbach lead their fierce rivals. And finally, they might be hitting a good patch of form compared to the bad patch of form that we encountered in the previous episode. So Breel Embolo scores again. It is Borussia Mönchengladbach 1, FC Köln 0 on 4 minutes. In the 17th minute, Mönchengladbach have the ball. Here's Lars Stindl. Great little through ball to Mbolo. He's on the charge. Oh, and the defender slipped at the back. And Mbolo took a chance. And he's made it 2-0. Mbolo is the derby hero today. He scored 2 goals. And Borussia Mönchengladbach are setting their sights on the derby double over their fierce rivals. Mbolo with another great pass from Stindl. They're both working really well together in this match. The defender slipped or tried to tackle at the wrong time. And Mbolo was then left to do his work. And another brilliant strike from Breel Mbolo. And it looks like the derby victory is all but secured already. Breel Mbolo's got 7 goals in the Bundesliga. And just over, 20 minutes? It's Borussia Mönchengladbach 2, FC Köln 0. And there goes the half-time whistle. And the fans of Mönchengladbach will be absolutely delighted. I'm sure they would be worried seeing the reserve team play against their fierce rivals. My goodness me, they've played well. Particularly Breel Mbolo, very cool and calm in front of goal with 2 clinical strikes from 2 very good assists from Lars Stindl. They have been the outstanding players so far. But half-time at Borussia Park, it's 2-0 to the Foals. On to the second half highlights, the 50th minute, and Mönchengladbach are on the charge already. Patrick Herrmann, the number 7's got the ball. He ran into the box. No one could stop him, and it's 3-0 to Borussia Mönchengladbach. It is another brilliant attacking display from the Foals. They scored 4 at Leipzig. They could well score 4 here again. This time against their fierce rivals FC Köln. Look at Patrick Herrmann on the charge. He's one of my favourite players, really. And Borussia Mönchengladbach are now in, well, cruise control, that's for sure. They'll be treating this game with a bit of fun. And the fans are already celebrating in the stadium and, of course, around the local area as well. Patrick Herrmann on the score sheet again. And it's Borussia Mönchengladbach 3, FC Köln 0. 62nd minute, Mönchengladbach having a bit of fun now. Here's Stindl. Passes it to Mbolo again. Mbolo, Stindl twists and turns. And Lyle, and it's going to go in. It will. It's 4. And Köln are getting destroyed. It's now fun and games for Mönchengladbach. How many can they score? It's 4-0 in 64 minutes. And I think it's Marcus Terrier who scores his first goal since joining the club in January. Look at that beautiful twist and turns from Mbolo and Stindl. And it is Terrier, Marcus Terrier, the man who came from Olympique Lyonnais from the French league, has finally showed what he can do. He's got a chance and he's finally taken it. He's had a bit of a lacklustre debut, very quiet actually from the new signings. But Martin Terrier, not Marcus Terrier, Martin Terrier has got his first goal for the club. And on Derby Day as well, the fans will be loving him right now. And it's 4-0. 80th minute now. The Foals just want to keep going forward. Here's Mbolo. Back to Lars Stindl. Still got the ball. And Sakara's got the ball now. And he's put it into the net. It's 5. What a performance from Mönchengladbach. Look at the players. Celebrations all round in the snowy conditions. Mönchengladbach's Borussia Park Stadium has become a winter wonderland. A wonderland of joy for the Foals. Because they're tearing their rivals apart. Lars Stindl, he has been the man of the match. He's produced some outstanding assists. And that was another one from Lars Stindl. Just keeping the players almost like he was like a magnet for the Köln defenders. So busy focused on trying to stop Lars Stindl, they're forgetting about other players, and it's now 5-0. 88th minute now, Mönchengladbach are going for it again. Here's Mbolo this time out wide, and he's crossed in towards Stindl. It's 6. Mönchengladbach have got 6 at Köln. This could be probably the biggest derby victory in the history between these two clubs. And Lars Stindl's on the score sheet, and he deserves that. He's been absolutely fantastic on the assists front, and a great strike, and from a great cross from you-know-who, Briel and Bolo. Those two are really working well today. And what a response after the run of a little tiny wobble we had in the last episode with defeats to Hertha Berlin, a draw at Schalke and defeat at Mainz. Well, we've scored 10 goals in 2 matches, and that's pretty encouraging to say the least. But there goes the full-time whistle. Joy for Mönchengladbach, disaster for FC Köln. Mönchengladbach have teared their rivals apart, and Mönchengladbach have had, well, who needs a 5-star display when he can have a 6-star display from the Foles? They do the double over their rivals, and that is great to see. What a performance, particularly from that man Lars Stindl, my man of the match for sure. Briel and Bolo as well, but look at that, full-time Borussia Mönchengladbach 6, FC Köln 0. What a turnaround in results and performances from the Foles. But let's then turn our attention to the final game of the episode as we're going to another new stadium. This time we're going to the Düsseldorf Arena to play Fortuna Düsseldorf. Now Fortuna Düsseldorf, they're having another okayish season. They're kind of fighting for like 10th position in the league, really 9th, 10th position. So some pride there to be in the top 10. But a full crowd here at the Düsseldorf Arena is going to be difficult. And of course, as you can see, the reserve team will be deployed for this match. Briel and Bolo, he'll be a man to watch, and I think Lars Stindl as well. They played absolutely... they just played astonishing. It was unbelievable, some of the play they played. Some of the, the actions they did, the period of play they had with the ball, it was just absolutely outstanding. And if we can replicate that against Fortuna Düsseldorf, then, well, the amount of goals we could score in this episode will be astronomical. We've scored 10 goals already in this episode. So, 4 against Leipzig, 6 against FC Köln. I wouldn't believe you if that could actually happen leading up to these games. But that's the way it is. But let's take a look at Fortuna Düsseldorf's lineup. There is their lineup. Pedgana, Batanga there in the number 10 role, playing in the 4-2-3-1 formation, the same as Mönchengladbach will be playing. And of course, we did play the previous meeting between these two clubs. Mönchengladbach were victorious in a rather emphatic fashion, where we won 4-1 against Fortuna Düsseldorf. I think Batanga was who actually did score for Düsseldorf at Borussia Park. Be nice to replicate that again, wouldn't it? On to the 42nd minute. It's been a bit of a stalemate between the two clubs. And here comes Fortuna Düsseldorf. Patanga's got the ball here. And he's going, and he's crossed it in, and it's gone in. Fortuna Düsseldorf take the lead just before half-time. That is a massive blow. And Zuber's put it in. And Fortuna Düsseldorf take a shock lead against Mönchengladbach. And all of a sudden, the race for the top 4 takes another tantalising twist. And that's a brilliant bit of play, really, from Fortuna Düsseldorf. Mönchengladbach have been quite poor, actually. They haven't been anything like their scoring selves. And Fortuna Düsseldorf, they have been the better side, actually, I'm not going to lie, in terms of creating chances. But Steven Zuber scores his first goal of the season. What a time to get it. And just before half-time, that's a bit of a blow, actually. And it's Fortuna Düsseldorf 1, Mönchengladbach 0. And there goes the half-time whistle. And we've got some work to do. 1-0 down. I would have been happy to come in at excuse me. I would have been happy to come in at 0-0. But it's not going to be the case, isn't it? We're 1-0 down thanks to a brilliant bit of play from Patenga and of course a brilliant strike from Zuber. Means at half-time at the Düsseldorf Arena, it's 1-0 to Fortuna Düsseldorf. The scorelines around the other grounds: Mainz are drawing 0-0 with Schalke. Borussia Dortmund are drawing 1-1 with Eintracht Frankfurt. Hannover 96 are 2-0 down against Bayer Leverkusen. FC Köln are 2-1 down against Bayern Munich, the leaders. On to the second half highlights, the 52nd minute, and Fortuna Düsseldorf are turning on the style here. Blows crossed it in, and Petgena, oh, what a strike from Petgena! That is a world-class strike from their number 10, and Mönchengladbach are now are in even bigger trouble now. They're 2-0 down. Mönchengladbach's revival in performances and results looks to be coming to an emphatic end. But what a strike from their number 10, Petenga. That is a world-class strike, I'm not going to lie. When that happened when I was playing the game, I stood back and took a round of applause, because that was a world-class strike. The keeper Sipel could not stop that. And Andre Petenga, who's got his 8th goal of the season, and that's probably his best of the lot. What a goal that was. But it's double trouble for Mönchengladbach. They're 2-0 down. And there goes the full-time whistle. Fortuna Düsseldorf get a surprise victory against Mönchengladbach. I was expecting a lot better. Very disappointing performance. Team just, I don't know, lacked, as you can see from last still there, not very happy. It looked like the team just ran out of energy, really. They ran out of steam. And Fortuna Düsseldorf were the better side, much more creative, much more of an attacking threat. And a goal from Zuber and a fantastic goal from Petenga means that, well, we've taken a bit of a setback here in the race for the top 4. It's Fortuna Düsseldorf 2, Borussia Mönchengladbach 0 at the Fortuna Düsseldorf Arena. And the results: Mainz won 1-0 against FC Schalke, for Dortmund won 2-1 against Frankfurt, and you can see the other results there as well. Onto the Bundesliga table then. Bayern Munich still at the top of the table with 57 points, 18 wins, 3 draws, and 1 defeat. 55 goals scored, 9 conceded, the best attack and defence in the league. Bayer Leverkusen still sits second with 54 points. They're now 3 points behind him. They're still 3 points behind him. They have 17 wins, 3 draws, 2 defeats, 45 goals scored, 16 conceded. Borussia Dortmund is third with 49 points. They have 15 wins, 4 draws, 3 defeats, 46 goals scored and 11 conceded, the second best attack and defence in the league. Mönchengladbach, they are up to 4th place with 43 points just about. They've got 30 wins, 4 draws, 5 defeats. They've scored 45 goals and have conceded 20. They have a goal difference of, well, quite a bit more, nearly 8 goals difference in them. The goal difference is 8, so that's really, really good. Red Bull Leipzig are down to 5th. Of course, we beat them, and of course they had a surprise defeat at home to Werder Bremen, which means they're 5th with 43 points, scoring 38 goals, and conceding 21. TSG Hoffenheim is still in the race with 42 points, 13 wins, 3 draws, 6 defeats, 30 goals scored, 21 conceded, but they have the lowest goal difference in the top 7. VfL Wolfsburg is 7th with 39 points, they're still in the fight, so I think 4th to maybe 7th, possibly 8th for Werder Berlin, getting a tad closer. And they have a game in hand, of course, Werder Berlin, so it's going to be a really, really tight battle for the top 4. 9th is Werder Bremen with 31 points. Eintracht Frankfurt is 10th with 25 points, ahead on goal difference of the likes of FC Augsburg and FC Köln, who are 12th, 11th and 12th. Fortuna Düsseldorf is 13th with 22 points. FSV Mainz is 14th with 20 points. FC Nuremberg just about above the relegation playoff with 16 points, 5 wins, 1 draw, just 1 draw all season. Wow. Levels it with Augsburg with the least amount of draws of the season. Hannover 96 is in the relegation playoff with 12 points, 3 wins, 3 draws, 16 defeats, 17 goals scored, 47 conceded. FC Schalke's miserable season continues, no wins since November. They are in 17th still with 11 points, 2 wins, 5 draws, 15 defeats, 18 goals scored, 48 conceded. VfB Stuttgart still stuck at the bottom with 9 points, 2 wins, 3 draws, 16 defeats, 14 goals scored, 51 goals conceded, the worst attack and defence in the league. But of course they have a game in hand over their rivals. So does Nuremberg in 15th place, so it's going to be really, really interesting. It's also nice for a change that this career is actually proving to be a bit more of a challenge, despite the fact we tend to score, 7 goals against Frankfurt, or 4 against Leipzig, or 6 goals against Köln, or 5 against Nuremberg. They're pretty high-scoring games, but it's nice to have a bit of a challenge. On to the quarter-finals of the DFB Pokal. Hoffenheim lost 3-0 to VfL Wolfsburg. Werder Bremen beat Eintracht Frankfurt on penalties. That was a bit of a surprise. Hertha Berlin lost 2-0 to Red Bull Leipzig, so the host stadium. Hertha Berlin, who hosts the final, will not be in the semi-finals. And Bayern Munich won 3-1 against FC Schalke, so Schalke haven't got anything to fight for now other than trying to survive relegation. And on to the semi-final fixtures of the DFB Pokal. We've got VfL Wolfsburg will be playing Red Bull Leipzig, and Werder Bremen will be playing Bayern Munich. I can only see two teams in that. I think you know which ones they are. So let's go on to the preview of the next episode, and pretty good big one actually. We begin the first knockout stages of the UEFA Europa League, the round 32 stage. First of all, we're at Ibrox against Scottish side Rangers. In between that, we've got a Bundesliga action, Bundesliga match, pretty big one actually, at home to TSG Hoffenheim, and we need to get a bit of a gap between Leipzig if possible, but definitely against TSG Hoffenheim, who are just a point behind Mönchengladbach and Red Bull Leipzig. And to conclude the episode, we will be then hosting the second leg of the UEFA Europa League against Rangers. So I'd just like to say thank you very much for watching. Hope you're enjoying the series. I certainly am, that's for sure. And we will see you next time. Thank you.